shot, I got 2 more police cases, defamation
Mm,
cases.
mm,
First one is a leftist activist that I wrote an article about when she was defending hijabs at the time of these feminist revolutions in Iran. I
mm.
wrote an article about how she's defending hijabs and that she's stupid because as a Finnish liberal leftist person, she would be whipped to death in Muslim countries.
Mm.
According to police, I am threatening to whip her to death.
I mean, is the police unable to read Finnish,
I have no idea. They should be able to read Finnish, right?
right? Yeah,
Finnish police should be able to read Finnish and
yeah,
understand
that
the
should be a
context.
basic requirement.
Actually saying that you, as a liberal, non-hijab
Yeah.
wearing Western woman,
Would be if you were to be in that country
yes,
is not the same as well. You would be
oh,
because I would do that to you.
they want to silence every single issue related to Finland because there is a state media that has state propaganda. Main points of this propaganda is
Mm,
the public global international image of Finland. You all heard these, oh, the best education, oh, the people are free and the most happiest. This
mhm.
is all propaganda. How can you have the most highest suicide rate and be the most
Yeah,
happy? The media in Finland is run by a state media that controls everything. Think about it. We have 5 million people population. The state media is sponsored by 600 million. That is a level of BBC. 600 million euros taxpayers' money goes every year to the state media that is solely far left. You will never see
mm,
me on there despite the whole Finland knowing me. You
mm.
will only see Islamist influencers, you will only see imams, and you will only see far left activists, maybe some rappers, some TikTok stars
Yeah,
and shit.
yeah.
Like 2016, I exposed a Al Qaeda linked money collecting crime that was happening inside the Social Democrat Party. They had invited a very popular Islamist that the whole media was calling a hero because he was bringing toys to Syrian kids and whatever. But then I exposed his operation, and it was exposed that none of the money actually went to any kids. They went to him and his terrorist friends, and he was known from smuggling steroids and battle drugs and whatever. When I exposed this, I effectively was banned by all medias. Suddenly, I got sued by the guy I exposed as of defamation, even though he was charged with all of these crimes I exposed. He actually had the sentences of these crimes that I exposed, and he was going to the prison as I exposed them. But apparently, everything I exposed was defamation, not according to him, according to the Finnish state and the prosecutor. For 7 years, the Finnish state prosecuted me. He got only a 2-year sentence.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the World of Momos podcast. And on this episode of Reflections and Reactions, we have a returning guest, my friend Anter Yasa, with us. And as you can see, I don't have my backdrop. I couldn't be bothered today. So you can see my messy room at the back. Well, it's not that messy because I put everything on that side, on this side. So people can't really see, but you can see my cricket bat over there, a few of my files over there, a few of my books littered around. So, we have the Finnish journalist with us who has been indefinitely suspended before on Twitter as well and from other social medias. You must have, if you follow me, have seen our previous episodes as well about the problems in Finland, which I will link above as well and in the description as well. And what we're going to do today is we want to know what is happening now, what is the current thing that is happening, and how the Finnish state is actually frustrating Antar and his fight back against the Islamists, and what he sees in the future, and what does he speculate for the future of Finland. But before we do that, we'll ask Antar to first briefly introduce himself, um, and also introduce to us or briefly recap to us basically what has happened so far, so that people who haven't watched the previous episode and want to watch this one have a basic idea of what we're going to talk about. So hi Antar, like just introduce briefly who you are and then the case so far, including those cases with the Islamists that you won, so now we can actually have the completion story of that as well.
Yeah. Well, my name is Anter Yasa, and I'm a 31-year-old Finnish citizen activist, journalist, blogger, YouTuber, and a IT consultant that I do. It's a completely different job, but I'm mostly known in Finland from 2016. I exposed a Al Qaeda linked criminal money collecting crime that was happening inside the Social Democrat Party. They had invited a very popular Islamist that the whole media was calling a hero because he was bringing toys to Syrian kids and whatever. But then I exposed his operation, and it was exposed that none of the money actually went to any kids. They went to him and his terrorist friends, and he was known from smuggling steroids and battle drugs and whatever. And this was a
And
person,
also, like, what year it was when you exposed it?
2016. This was 2016, and the whole media was actually calling him a hero and whatever, whatever. When I exposed this, I effectively was banned by all medias because my criticism also involved the actions of media, how they help and and sponsor all of these terrorist linked crimes and actually do the advertisements for them for free as some kind of a anti-racist or solidarity act or whatever. Well, it got exposed. Everybody knew the truth, and suddenly I got sued by the guy I exposed as of defamation, even though he was charged with all of these crimes I exposed. He actually had the sentences of these crimes that I exposed, and he was going to the prison as I exposed them. But apparently, everything I exposed was defamation, not according to him. According to the Finnish state and the prosecutor, for 7 years the Finnish state prosecuted me, not the terrorist. Me. He got only a 2 year sentence, but me they prosecuted
What
for
did they get? What was his sentence for of 2 years?
only for the illegal money gathering. They
So that's why
never
they,
even
yeah,
investigated the Al Qaeda ties.
yeah.
I have videos of him participating in terrorist acts that I showed the court, and nobody cared.
So
Nobody.
because if they would have convicted him on his being an Islamist charges, then they couldn't have charged you for defamation because it would
Exactly.
have been proven. Yeah.
If they would have done that, they wouldn't have charged me for defamation because he started to sue me for defamation, me calling him an Islamist and having links to terrorists and blah blah. All of this was exposed in the media after I did. Like after they banned and
Hmm.
censored me, they started push the same information that I exposed at the first place. And well, yeah, the prosecutor was agreeing with him. All of the social democrats were again his friends. All of the leftists were again supporting him, even though I had exposed his links to ISIS and Al Qaeda, even though his wife is a burqa clad Islamist, even though all of this is obvious. They all attacked against me because they didn't want to get exposed as friends of Islamists, as fake news,
Hmm.
and all of this. And I got completely banned, shut down, shunned down, persona non grata. They did everything that can be possibly done. They started labeling me far right, racist, Nazi, transphobe. Every single buzzword that you can come up with, I was labeled with.
And also, at this point, it's important to note that Antar is actually a Kurdish refugee
Yeah,
who went to Finland, and he is also an ex-Muslim.
yes.
So for him to be far right would be very far out.
I'm very, very, you know me, I am very
Yeah.
liberal. And I got all of these labels, whatever. I didn't really care about them labeling and anything. I am known as a guy who doesn't really respect or appreciate Finnish
Hmm.
people. I publicly tell everyone I think Finnish people are stupid,
Hmm.
and that's what they are. Most Finnish people agree with me. But after I got labeled and everything, I didn't really care about that because I know these are just useful idiots doing this.
Hmm.
What actually like pissed me off was that the state that I was actually trying to help by exposing these criminals that are using the system, started persecuting me for 7 years. I went to 3 different stages of court because of this. They wanted me to pay 10,000 euros to the terrorist, more money to the terrorist that he had to pay as fines for his terrorism.
Hmm.
Think about this. In Finland, if you're an Islamist that rapes a little kid, and if it's your first time, you don't even go to jail. You don't even go to jail. You don't even have to pay more than 5,000 euros as compensation. for a rape of a little kid. But for me to expose a terrorist linked money gathering crime that gathered nearly €500,000 from Finnish people, I got completely censored. The story got completely censored. I got persecuted by the state, and they did everything in their power to shut me down. You are the first foreign person that actually wants to hear this story, because when I go to any other places to talk about the story, I am shunned. Nobody's believing me. Nobody, because none of this is on the media. You can maybe find some little news about this
Mm.
toy smuggler getting exposed and getting a jail sentence, but my name is nowhere to be seen. Okay, anyways, 3 stages of court, 7 years. Well, this year I won the case on the highest court. They dropped all the charges, but after they had done all the harm for seven
Mm.
years, doing and censoring and calling me whatever names and ruining my
And in
reputation.
in these 7 years, did you had to pay for the lawyers or stuff, or was it paid?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I had to pay all of my lawyers and shit. Now,
Mm.
now they're saying they're gonna pay it back, but I haven't seen a dime back.
Have they set a time frame? Have they agreed to that they
They
will
should.
pay?
All the charges are dropped. I've
Yeah.
asked them to return all the money and shit, but no,
Mm.
no, I haven't seen anything yet, and I don't think they will be returning. But
Mm.
anyways, I don't care. I won that case, whatever. I was right, I was vindicated, and whatever. And when the media wrote about this case being dropped in the highest court, before, when I was being persecuted, they would write with my name, oh, Anter Yasa is this and that,
Mm.
and he said this and that, and he's on the court, and he's a bad guy, and whatever. But when I was vindicated and all the charges dropped, they wrote, a man was vindicated.
Well, you should
Not,
be
not
glad.
me.
You should be glad at least they said a man.
Yeah, it could be a woman, you know.
Yeah, a
Well,
person.
well, I exposed their
Yeah,
bullshit and fake news again, and I made a
yeah.
video about it. But
What was the exact month where the cases dropped?
I think January.
January, January,
January.
right? And
Yes,
what was the exact month when your Twitter account was suspended,
January this year.
right?
Yeah.
And January, it was after your case
Yes.
was dropped,
Yes.
right?
Yes. All
It's
my
just
all
like,
my
okay,
accounts are abandoned.
we are speculating, but it's pretty weird that Twitter would, when you had 14,000 people listening to you and stuff, and you had more traction coming into you, then the MPs
I knew that
wouldn't.
Finland has only 5 million
Yeah,
population,
yeah.
so
Comparatively,
14,000
like 14,000 is
followers
exactly.
is a lot
Yeah,
on Finnish
yeah.
standards.
Because considering, like, people might say, oh, why not more as well, because most of what you were saying and what you're reporting is in Finnish language as well,
Yes.
which is exclusionary to the rest of the world. So that
Yes.
means comparatively you would get less people anyways, but 14,000 compared to the 5 million people, the ratio is still very high. But it's very interesting that right after your case is dropped and it's seen that you're vindicated, so that would be the time when you would expose what has happened.
Yep.
And for some reason your Twitter account is indefinitely suspended. Twitter has not given you a reason or anything like that. And it is also during the time when Finland is getting into NATO, right? That was the time where I can see that if Finland has put pressure on Twitter, it might have been, oh, it's a security risk for us because we're doing this and this and this. They could have explained it that way, or it's
I
some
don't know.
Twitter
I don't think it
algorithm,
has.
or it could be like, it could be any reason, right? Because
I don't think it
I'm
has
just
anything.
reaching out to all the theories possible and stuff.
I don't think it has anything to do with the NATO connection, because
Mm,
this is what I've experienced for years before any NATO
yeah.
talks were
No,
going
no.
on. This is
What
a
I'm saying that they could have used
yeah,
excuses.
it's an excuse, of course,
Yeah,
and
but it's
well,
sad. It's sad to see though, like that
oh,
within Elon Musk's Twitter, when everyone
Elon
else
Musk,
is able to be free or comparatively free. I've been suspended few times now since January, so it does seem like if you go against the Islamists, there's an issue. Whether
that
it's a company policy issue, or whether there is a problem with the algorithm, which I think so is the algorithm issue. That's why it's getting stuck up. And because Americans don't have an out of context knowledge about such things, such intricate details, their codings and stuff like that would not have this relevance to them. But anyways, carry on with the story.
Yeah, but well, yeah, I got vindicated after that. My social medias were shut down, all of them, not just Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I lost everything in the same
Hmm.
day,
Hmm.
and
Same day as well. That's
yeah,
important to note. Yeah.
but luckily I still have my
That's why I'm
YouTube.
saying it's coordinated by the government.
Yeah, even though it got demonetized, I still have my YouTube with
Hmm.
something like 6,000 followers. But anyways, not only this vindication, after my social medias were shot, I got two more police cases, defamation
Hmm.
cases.
Hmm.
First one is a leftist activist that I wrote an article about when she was defending hijabs at the time of these feminist revolutions in Iran.
And
She was
I'll link
defending.
the article over here
Yeah, I will
on
give it
top.
back.
Yeah.
You can link it.
Yeah.
It's in English, but you can translate it. I
Hmm.
wrote an article about how she's defending hijabs and that she's stupid because as a Finnish liberal leftist person, she would be whipped to death in Muslim countries.
Hmm.
According to police, I am threatening to whip her to death.
I mean, is the police unable to read Finnish?
I have no idea. They should be able to read Finnish, right?
Right? Yeah.
Finnish police should be able to read Finnish and
Yeah.
understand
That
the
should be a
context.
basic requirement.
Actually saying that you, as a liberal, non-hijab
Yeah.
wearing Western woman,
Would be if you were to be in that country
yes.
is not the same as well. You would be
Oh,
because I would do that to you.
there's a thing in Finland. Islamists and terrorists are treated as liberal integrated refugees. They
Hmm.
are getting the treatment that I deserve,
Hmm.
and I am getting the terrorist and
That
radical
they
treatment
deserve. Yeah.
they deserve.
Yeah.
This is
So
the problem in Finland. So
what
when
happened?
I
Hmm.
warn about these radicals, what they would do, these idiots think that I am the one that would do it because
Yeah.
Islam is a religion of peace.
Yeah.
Muslims would never do that. So
Yeah.
it must be you making up these things and you threatening people to do this. This is
Yeah.
actually what the police told me.
This is weird. This is so. This is so screwed up. And
That's
and
nothing.
and
That's
then the
nothing.
second. What about the second defamation
One,
case that?
one
Yeah.
is a leftist MP,
Mm,
a leftist party MP, a millionaire in this country that has a lot of power.
mm,
I have no political position. I am a private citizen in this country, right? Politicians and public personalities, they have a higher standard of
mm.
understanding and criticism,
Yeah,
right?
'cause
They can't
socialism. So
go and sue everybody for defamation.
yeah.
They have to take criticism as people who hold power, right?
Hmm.
This MP was in a Hamas march in front of the parliament with a sign that said river to the sea, along with Islamists, along with
Hmm.
Hamas Islamists with full face balaclavas, just straight up terrorists,
Hmm.
giving a speech there how Israel is genociding and la la la. I
Hmm.
wrote an article exactly what she did. She was in a Hamas march and she was saying river to the sea,
Hmm.
proclaiming ethnic cleansing for Jews.
Hmm.
According to the police, I am making stuff up. I have
Okay.
pictures, I have
Yeah.
videos, I have every single thing I've put public of their own acts. According to the police, I am a crazy person making things up and defaming leftist women because I just hate women.
So they are playing the misogynist route now.
Yeah. So as a Semite, as a Kurdish person, as a refugee, as a liberal ex-Muslim, I cannot write about leftist socialists supporting Islamic radicalism, Islamism, and terrorism and
Hmm.
proclaiming ethnic cleansing. I cannot write about it and condemn it. I cannot. It is impossible in Finland. It is impossible in Finland.
This okay. So this is our recap done so far,
Basically,
and now,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and now we will move
I
on.
still have one case in 2019.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I exposed the Iranian hybrid influencer, anti-Semite woman hater called Hussein Al-Taeh, who was a MP of the Social Democrats Party supporting the Iranian regime and talking shit against Iranian feminists. And he was the most feminist popular immigrant of the social demo. They
Um,
even gave him a feminist reward. The guy was no, oh my god, the guy had Facebook full of anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, support of neo-Nazism, support of Iranian death squads. and they gave him a feminist reward from Social Democrats. And when I exposed him, his anti-Semitism, his homophobia, his woman hatred, he had police reports of him beating his ex-wife up and stealing kids and whatever. And they gave him a feminist reward just because he's an Islamist. And when I exposed him, yet again, the media shunned me. Oh, how could it be? He's our favorite integrated, super nice. He's the model of a moderate Muslim. Yet
He
again,
has a record in the country.
what?
He has a criminal record,
Yes,
or a record within the country
yes,
as well, right?
yes,
So this
yes.
is a matter of, like, the Orwellian thing, like, that you will not believe the evidence of your eyes.
But I
Um,
have to give props to him because he didn't take me to court. He just
yeah,
understood the
yeah,
situation, fucked off. But after that, even though media shunned me, never gave me a chance to say anything about me exposing
yeah.
anti-Semitism, terrorism, Iranian hybrid influence inside the Social Democrats. They didn't want this criticism to get out, so they censored me again, never asked me again anything, and started a campaign calling me an anti-Semite, a racist, and a homophobe. Everything that I
Mm,
exposed from
mm,
them, they started to label me as being that.
mm. Uh, Now, okay. So a lot of, because what I'll do is I'll link up your
All
Substack as
of
well,
this,
so people
yeah,
can
this might
see
sound very
more.
crazy. I might sound very rambling, but understand
No,
I
no,
am
no, no.
frustrated. I
Like,
am
so,
very frustrated.
yeah. I know, and this why I'm gonna link up the Substack above as well, and let people know. Like, it's mostly in Finnish, but you can translate on your browser. Google Chrome
Yeah.
does it really, really
And I
easily, so you
promise to
can
do
do that.
more English content. I will
Yeah,
be
because the
I write about
international
cases.
community needs to know. So the English content needs to come, because this is the reason why they're silencing you, because it's not like,
They know
people
that
don't know
nobody will
Finnish.
know about it. They know
Yeah,
that nobody will know about what they're doing. But
yeah,
for example, whenever a MP is getting sued or sues somebody in Finland, they make a big news about it, right?
mm, yeah,
No journalist has called me.
yeah,
No journalist has called me. None
yeah,
of them answer me.
yeah. I mean, this is very interesting, because so that was sort of the recap, so people understand. It was a longer recap, but like, it's good because there are new things developed within it as well, as we have heard. People might not have heard before, but the thing is, people might. The thing is, people don't care about Finland as well. It's a small country, 5 million people. Who gives a fuck, right? Because it's way up in the north. Even within the European sphere, people don't care. A lot of people in the West have marked the Scandinavian countries as well, the sensible people, as like, oh, they're gone. Like, like, we don't care. While the left always holds them up as the socialist, like, havens. But this is
They
why I
are
think so. They need,
hellholes. These are
yeah.
hellholes.
This is why they need to be exposed from within more, and it would be good to see, because there are some people doing in Sweden, because of Salwan as well. Recently, like, these things have come up within
He's the
Sweden and
Quran
Norway.
burning guy of
Yeah.
Sweden. Yeah.
And the the thing is, like, Finland is actually a more of a hotbed than these countries as well, because people don't know what's happening over there, so they are able to hide deeper within. So it would be interesting if we can get people like Rebel News or someone like that to actually go into Finland, and link up with you, link up with other journalists, and just ask questions and expose the non-answers from the Finnish government, and it would put them under pressure, because I'm pretty sure a lot of Europeans don't even know what's going on in Finland. It's the obscurity of the language as well that makes these areas isolated from the rest of the country. Because if what's happening in Finland is known more to their neighboring countries, even, or a little further apart as well, people will rise up more against it, because it's an immediate danger, because they're within the European area now.
I have an example of this. In 2019, when I wrote about this Iranian hybrid influencer and anti-Semite in the Social Democrats, nobody took me seriously. No news wrote about this issue, and everybody wanted to be silent about it, as if like, oh, we know, but we don't really want to talk about
Hmm.
it. And I sent the information to Jerusalem Post. The day after Jerusalem Post wrote an article about the Finnish MP being an anti-Semite, the whole country had to react to it.
Yeah, that's the
Otherwise,
thing.
they want to silence every single issue related to Finland because there is a state media that has state propaganda. And one of the main points of this propaganda is the public image of Finland,
Mm,
the public global international image of Finland. You all heard these, oh, the best education, oh, the people are free and the most happiest, and there is a lot of this propaganda about Finland going on. When I tell you,
mm,
like you say, when somebody says Finland, oh, it's a Scandinavian
yeah. School are
social,
the highest rated and blah blah blah. Yeah.
but these are all propaganda of the state. This
Hmm.
is all propaganda. How can you have the most highest suicide rate and be the
Yeah.
most happy country in the world?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. These are all state propaganda. The media in Finland is run by a state media that controls everything. It's think about it. We have 5 million people population. The state media is sponsored by 6 million euros a year. That is like
A
BBC,
billion, 6 billion,
600 million.
600 million. Okay.
600 million. That is a level of BBC.
Mm,
Like, we shouldn't have a state media on the control level of a whole BBC. We are a small Finland, right?
mm,
But
mm,
no, 600 million euros taxpayers' money goes every year to the state media that is solely far left. You will never see
mm,
me on there. No, I still pay my taxes, but you will never see me on there despite the whole Finland knowing me. You
mm.
will only see Islamist influencers, you will only see imams, and you will only see far left activists, maybe some rappers, some TikTok stars,
Yeah,
and shit
yeah.
like that. You will never see actual people that actually have something to say and want to do a change, or
Mm,
actually have something serious to say about issues. They will never
mm.
allow that. Never. One, that is a state media that controls basically everything. Basically, what is acceptable to talk about and what is not acceptable to talk about. They decide, and it is run by social democrats, far lefts, leftists, and la la la. There is they did a study, and like 90% of them are leftists or greens or
Mm,
whatever. It's widely known
yeah.
as the woke media, as the fake
Mm,
media, and everything you read on the state media, you should be very take it with a grain of salt. On top of that, there are like 2 to 3 big conglomerates called Sanoma and Alma, which own every other media that there possibly can be. And two of these are in collusion with the state media. So basically, every single media, every single television channel, every single magazine, news, everything you have in Finland is controlled by the same people. And this is a fact. You can ask any Finnish
yeah.
person and he will say you this. If he's not a brainwashed, woke guy who thinks he's a anarchist for doing everything the state
Mm,
says, don't listen to those people. Just
yeah.
go ask
But
anybody who has actual issues about the
yeah.
state. Yeah, that's how it works.
And this there's a reason why I've been trying to raise this as much as possible and having you on as much as possible as well, because I've had a friend who lived there for 7 years as well, so I know like what the problems are happening within Finland as well, and how he was saying he was earning so much, but he would get like 60% taken away from his pay, and it was just pointless for him. No, he was in a very high position. It was like pointless. He was like, people are not even going for middle management because they're getting more benefits than that. They're pretending to work. You can't buy alcohol in shops. All the alcohol is sold by the Finnish government, and you can't buy it after 9 o'clock. You can only go to the bar, and then they won't sell you enough.
Hellhole.
Yeah. So there are. It is a communist country. By just not saying it, it's just under the cloak of socialism, and it's worse than all its neighboring countries. It's worse than Norway in its governance. It's worse than Sweden. It's all of them are worse than Denmark and everything like that. But they get hidden away because nobody wants to go there, and not many people live there, and most Finnish people have been for a very long time now going out of Finland and going to America or other places, because they have given up
Yeah,
literally, and it's become a haven for this. So it's important to understand that because it's a real danger to the rest of the Western sphere and the rest of the Europe. Because once you have a hold of Islamists, and the Islamists, when they have a hold of a country, then they have a base where they can work from, where they can, manipulate the local
Finland already is.
population. They can collect the funds. They can collect.
Finland
They
already
can,
is.
yeah,
Already number one ISIS producer in the world.
exactly. So it would remain the number one ISIS producer, and will create more and more numbers. And what is the other problem? The other problem is that a lot of the countries are still within the EU. They still have the freedom of movement. So once these Islamists become Finnish, then what happens,
Oh,
right?
they don't
And
even
they
have to
are.
become Finnish. They don't even have to. Like a couple of weeks ago, we had a news article in Finland from the state media that actually said that the Islamists that Putin and Russia is sending to the
Mm,
Finnish to Finland to the border, like we have to take them in according to the international laws. If they say asylum, you have
mm,
to take them in and process them.
yeah.
But over half of these Iraqis and Afghanis and
Mm,
whatever the men that Putin is sending, and now he's sending all the Islamists here after the terror attack, right?
yeah. Yeah.
He's putting all of them here. And the red greens, the leftists, the social democrats have been crying in the news that oh, it's against human rights and against international laws not to take them. So we
Mm,
are taking them all, and over half of them, once they get inside EU, we don't have any passport checks anymore. They just
mm,
disappear from Finland. They go to other
yeah.
EU countries. Nobody's looking
Yeah.
after them. We have let
Yeah.
thousands of potential
Yeah.
terrorists
Yeah.
inside the EU,
Yeah.
and nobody's talking about what's happening in Finland because
Yeah.
the state media, the politicians, and everybody are working in cohesion so that the rest of the world would not know the shittery and the fuckery they are doing here.
Yeah, and this is why I've been so adamant in raising this, and I'm still surprised that nobody else is picking up on this, because that's a
Nobody
gateway. this
cares.
is this is we are inviting our invasion. We have already got the troops in, and there is no stopping it, and Finland is actually active in doing this.
Yeah,
And
not
I would say, like, it is by sort of design by their government as well, because it realizes their communist mentalities, so that they can do the world like takeover and stuff. And now imagine Finland being in NATO now, right? So you can't even attack Finland, like, in case in the future, if it becomes too Islamist, you can't even, like, do anything against them, because part of the these are serious problems, long-term problems that we have created, because Finland is going to become the next Turkey then, by the looks of it.
Oh, Finland is very good friends with Turkey and always,
Obviously,
always.
obviously.
Like it doesn't matter whether you have a leftist or a right-wing government in Finland; they always are friends with Turkey,
Mm,
always in any situation. But I can give you an example. For example, Sweden, which has a bigger Kurdish population, actually in global stage was on the side of Kurdish people and the Kurdish fighters fighting ISIS and stuff like that. They openly started supporting Kurdish causes in
mm,
Sweden. And look what happened to Sweden. Oh, Erdogan got so mad about it. Oh, you're not getting in NATO and you have to deport all the Kurds and stop supporting Kurdish terrorists and whatever. And Sweden had to slowly give up the support of Kurds to get into NATO. But Finland didn't have this problem because Finland has never supported the Kurds. Finland has always licked the asses of all the Islamists it can ever find. So getting into NATO was very easy,
mm,
according to Finland. Like before they got into NATO, one of the ministers in Finland from the far right party, which is a socialist party. There's no right wing parties in Finland. What we call here
not
far
even
right
moderate, right?
is just socialism. Okay, and one of the ministries of this far right party said had written a text about some Muslim sexual molester and called him a Turkish monkey in the text.
Mm,
Right? And when this text was spread around by far left activists who wanted to defame this minister from the far right party, it went global, and everyone saw this that oh, the Finns are calling us Turks monkeys.
mm,
What did the right wing government do? Issued a official apology to Erdogan for calling him a monkey.
He was acting like a monkey.
Yes. So they will do anything. They will do anything to
Yeah.
please and appease and every single thing an Islamist has ever asked or demanded in Finland, they've given it. They've given it, no questions asked. No questions asked.
It's so I don't know, it is so disturbing what's happening. Um I can only hope that people pick this up this time. At least someone pick this up, because I don't care. It just needs to be investigated. It needs international eyes over there. Um and I don't think so. The left is the problem is the left media in the West is hesitant to do anything about it, because if they investigate that Finland has a problem, a governance problem, issue, all of that problem, they, oh, the Scandinavia is socialist haven, philosophy falls down. So
Yeah.
that's why they can't do that. But at
Their whole
least the right
basis
media
of
needs to pick up on this.
the
All the
whole,
right
whole
media,
their whole basis of thought that
their utopia
socialism
falls down. Yeah,
equals equality and something good would be
yeah,
breakdown. It would be
yeah,
broken if they could acknowledge this
yeah.
issue in Finland. But no,
But all it shows that is like any form of socialism, Marxism, all this crap, all it leads to is high incompetence in the future of your governing people, because you don't believe in merit anymore. This is what's going to happen within few generations to anyone who doesn't believe in merit. That
yeah,
bad faith actors are
yeah,
gonna come in and incompetent people are gonna come in. This is what's happening in UK as well. I can see in 2-3 generations gonna happen the same that is happening in Finland, because it's not happened yet. They still enough competent people that are holding the ship together in UK, right? But they're moving more and more towards this DEI, all this crap. In 2 or 3 generations, we'll have complete incompetent people and then bad faith actors like Islamists and stuff, and they will make this happen. This is why it's important to understand from these examples and steer the ship away. And I like anyone on the left, I don't even care. I think so. Everyone on the left right now in the West is a danger to the West,
yeah.
because they're they're the left who are complicit in this, and then there are left who are too weak as cowards to do anything about it, and they're left who are just not willing to admit that their side has fucked up the West.
They will never. Well, you know history, right? When have
Yeah,
you ever seen a leftist leader
never,
admit
never,
mistakes? Never.
never.
Never. It
They'll
doesn't
never do
happen.
that.
It doesn't happen. It is impossible. They will always double down and keep on digging the hole they've found themselves with Islamists, because they will not admit anything that they've done.
No.
They will not. They will much rather change reality and semantics and
Mm.
words and definitions and push it and do all of this communist mind tricks, instead of seeing the reality of being in bed with beheaders, with rapists, with caliphate believers. This
Mhm.
is absolutely crazy, and is long due that we have to talk about this leftist issue. It is very
Yeah.
long due. I've been trying to talk about this for 10 years.
Mm.
Jasmine Mohammed has been talking about this. You have been talking about this. Every single person I know that is integrated, ex Muslim, liberal, feminist, talks about women's rights, wants to preserve Western civilization and human rights. Everybody is talking against the left, but nobody is listening to us.
Yeah.
Why? Why is nobody listening to us?
Because it's a house of cards, because once you acknowledge that the extremes of the left, right? So now it's important for people to acknowledge that, um I used to be a liberal, right?
Oh,
And
me
then I,
too. Me too.
a classical liberal. In some ways I still am, but I've like for a
Oh,
very long
I don't
time
think we
I've
changed. Mom, I don't think we changed.
no
I
I
think
think
they
I
changed.
think so. What happens is once you acknowledge the endpoint results of an ideology manifesting itself, that is always detached from the original ideology, anyways. but you see the problems of bad coding, that there is something wrong within liberalism which allows this to happen in the long term, right? This is something that people are so emotionally attached to liberalism that they can't admit, and this is the problem. This is the problem, that people are not doing anything against the woke, that they're trying to even the most hardened liberals who are against the woke, they're not going again, or they're not acknowledging the problems within liberalism. They're trying to put quotes over it. It's like, no, 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 we'll push, we'll pull this back and stuff, and it'll be fine. It's like, no, no, it's a snake that will out his head one way or another. The problem is, which I always talk about, you need to recognize bad coding. There's a problem with Islam. Islam is a hotbed of bad coding. No matter what sect comes in, it will always be bad coding. Communism, same problem. No, socialism, Marxism, whatever you do is bad coding. And I think so. Liberalism has a problem of bad coding, which people are just so emotionally connected to an ideology that doesn't make sense. Even if you're liberal, you must recognize that you should not be attached to liberalism as an ideology, but as a way of thinking and stuff. And you can, it doesn't mean like when you reject something, or when you say, okay, liberalism seems to have a problem, it doesn't mean yet you become a hardcore conservative because you're not believing in one thing. It just means that maybe we need to think of better ways of thinking.
I
Is
think
that so hard?
I think around 10 years ago, Western and especially European liberals kind of like we declared ourselves as the winners of the culture war, right?
Yeah.
We won.
Yeah.
Everybody's liberal now in Europe, right? And what we didn't think about, what they didn't think about, you and me, of course, we did, but
Mm,
what the Europeans didn't think about, that not everybody else came with the same boat, right?
yeah.
Like not everybody was elevated to be a super liberal at the
Yeah.
same time, but they had this mentality that when an immigrant steps into Europe, all of his Islamic
Yeah.
bullshit just disappears. He just suddenly experiences a
Mm,
European enlightenment, and this is the thought they have, and
mm,
they don't realize that not everybody thinks like you,
yeah.
not everybody operates like you, and there are steps to integration, to thought,
Mm,
to ideology, to higher thinking that has to be
yeah.
achieved before you can get into bed with these
Mm,
people.
yeah.
They don't understand this.
No,
And
this
talking
is the
about
problem
this,
I see with liberalism. This is the problem with liberalism, that it doesn't
yes,
see these things.
it doesn't, especially if we're talking about racialized
Yeah.
people of color, and which I find highly racist. I find
Yeah.
all of these leftist
Yeah.
terms very racist about race and color, and
Mm,
I don't use those things. I find them highly racist, but especially talking about minorities, Muslim
yeah.
background people, it's it's as if they don't even believe that we are capable of elevating our thoughts, of being liberal, of being considerate, of being scientific. They don't think we are capable of it.
And they don't even think that we are capable of evil as well, because they
No.
don't think that we can do bad things. It's like,
Yes. It's like
have you seen the
we're
world
noble
outside? It's way worse than here. So,
Yes, we are noble savages.
yeah.
We are so dumb and controlled by emotion that when we do bad things, we do them by accident. When we want to become smarter, we're not capable of it.
Oh,
And
it's,
all of
it's
this,
it's years of colonization that has shaped us in this way, and that's why we do bad things. And we, what else are we supposed to do apart from raping children and women? Like,
yeah,
what else are we like? What
like
the hell is
part
the
of their
concern?
genetics to rape people. Why are you
Yeah.
being racist?
Yeah.
It's doublethink. It's
Yeah.
highly racist doublethink, which
Yeah.
is like I always tell that in Finland, that Finland is a opposite mirror world. Like like neo Nazis in Finland, people
Mm,
who hate Jews, people who think immigrants are dumb, people who think
yeah.
like oh white people can't experience racism.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're like here and I'm here, right? You
Yeah.
can't experience racism. You're something special, right?
That's also an argument for white supremacy, right?
Right?
That you think that white race is so superior.
Yeah. Yes,
We can't compete with it, right? So you're saying that like you're advocating for white supremacy.
they are. The funniest thing is like the most anti-racist people in Finland are the ones who believe
Yeah,
in all of these stereotypes
yeah.
and judge people by their skin
Mm,
color and think that you are dumb.
mm,
And when you surprise them with your intellect, they shut down.
mm,
They
mm.
completely shut down. They have no idea what to do, how to respond. They have no tools. No, they.
You know what they say usually? It's like, oh, you've been deceived, and you've taken too much of the right wing propaganda, and like,
It's this. It's that being smart is being
yeah,
brainwashed
yeah,
into being
yeah.
white because only whites
Mhm.
can be smart.
Again, white supremacy idea, right?
This is
Um,
exactly. You've probably seen the sketch video about woke and racist
yeah,
people
yeah,
saying shit, and then basically the same stuff. And
yeah.
this is what it is. These people in Finland are in the
Mm,
leftist parties. They're completely neo Nazis.
yeah.
They hate Jewish people here.
Mm.
Even the liberal evangelical Lutheran church in Finland is based on
Well,
anti-Semitism.
Lutherans have always had this issue, right? So it's the same as Christian nationalists in America. They are very anti-Semitic,
It's
and
crazy.
it's coming up now in the American right sphere. You can see this coming up, the anti-Semitism. That's why there's like, oh, the Jews are controlling the whole world, and I see this idea again in UK as well. And this infection is coming from America. Okay, these podcasters,
Yes,
these so-called
they're
podcasters,
getting paid by
commentators,
Arab money.
the thing is, like, they don't even have to be paid, right, by anyone. They're
Yeah.
probably not being paid by anyone, but just it's a grifting way of doing things. And it's a very American way of doing things. You're not an expert in anything, right? You're just bullshitting. You created an audience because of COVID or whatever, and you start saying what everyone agreed with, right? And you took ideas from better people, but your own ideas are pretty damn shit because you can't think for yourself. But you have created this whole audience and stuff, and now they're pushing this idea. This Nick Fuentes, that fucking neo-Nazi person, they are taking his ideas now, that
I've seen
and,
Finnish people
and,
retweeting
but
that
yeah,
guy.
but listen to the, like, Jake Shields and all these fucking idiots. But listen to this, the UK, in UK, that I've heard from some corners, not a lot of people, very very some corners, like, the Jewish people are the ones who push the immigration into the
Oh,
West,
yeah, I've
right?
heard.
And
I hear the
oh,
from
but
Finnish.
have you seen the
Right?
proof? Have you seen the proof? There is always like a meme or
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's
It's
like
always like
not
some.
corroborated, no, nothing. You have no evidence for it, but oh, it's just someone has put it out there in a
They,
picture format, so it must be true.
their theory is based on the same thinking of what these leftists have. It's
Yeah,
racism of lower standards. What they're
yeah,
thinking is that in their heads, Jews are the smartest,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's
Smarter than
true
white
supremacy.
people. So and Muslims are the dumbest,
Yeah,
the browns, the stupid brown people.
oh, it is true though. But so
Calm down. um, and what they're thinking is that no Islamist is actually capable of conquering us white
no,
people.
no,
No, no.
no.
So what must this Islamization and millions of Muslims must be that
It must be the Jews. Yeah,
The Jews have
yeah,
brought them here because the
yeah,
Jews are smart to do something like
yeah.
this. And
Yeah,
that is just stupid.
it's stupid because what they're saying is like the that Israel wants the Zionists, right? So whatever terms that they come up with to
What would
explain their
Israel gain
anti-Jewish.
from an Islamized Europe?
Oh, I'm telling you why
They
they
have a
want.
definition.
No, no, no. Listen to this logic, right? Because the Jewish people are sending them over here so that they fight the white race. Okay, so this is coming from the far right some section of right,
Ah,
right.
okay.
Islamists fight the white race and they wipe out the white race, and Islamists fighting each other, and then the Jews will take over the world. This is the Zionist ideology, apparently, which is
But
sort of
haven't the
like,
Jews already taken the world? Because this conspiracy also involves Jews already
no,
owning
no,
the
no, they have taken over the world, and they're not taking over the world simultaneously. They
world.
are being killed and they're killing simultaneously as well.
Ah,
And they're supremacists, but not supremacists simultaneously as well. Right. So, but the thing is, the idea of this is sort of like, um, there is obviously there's no proof, right? Because it's not bloody true. But they have made proof,
one
right?
video from the 80s that they keep spreading. Like,
Yeah, it's the same connections that they have, like weird, like, you find in serial killers bedrooms, like these connecting dots and stuff like that. It's sort of that sort of, yeah, conspiracy level, right? And there, but the problem what happens is, once you do not articulate the frustrations of the people appropriately, these are the routes they go down to. And and once you keep on ignoring it and keep on doing things that are not in their interest again and again and again, which become obvious to the ordinary person, then they start thinking, well, you must have an incentive to do them over, right? And these are the same reasons why people turn towards Marxism, because they want an alternative, not because they think Marxism might be the best thing. It's only few people within the Marxist ideology that advocate for that. Most of them are is the power of resentment. This is why I keep on saying the resentment is the worst emotion, and people need to guard themselves against it, because resentment makes people do the worst things, and they will only realize what they have done after they've done it, after they brought hell on earth. Then they will realize this is the same thing that is playing against the Jews. And there's a lot of resentment within the Jews as well, against certain sort of Muslims and stuff. And that is their part to recognize within themselves, but they do a better job of holding themselves. They
most
do a
definitely
lot of better job.
deny these far right Jewish Zionists,
No,
racists, and
but there's
whatever.
also far left Jews as well, who are promoting communism and going against their own
Israel
people.
is just like any other democratic.
Yeah, yeah.
There's going to be a left wing. There's going to be radicals, racist,
Just
anti.
like any Westerner, they are far right, they're right, they're left, they're far
But
left.
Israel people don't realize that okay, the far left, the far right thinks that Israel is full of these liberal Jews trying to
Yeah,
cock us, and the far left thinks that Israel is full of these right wing
yeah,
genocide Zionists. It might have both. It might have none.
yeah.
But it's like a normal democratic country. There is
Hmm.
a parliament. There are parties. Unlike Islamic
Yeah,
countries.
yeah. That's the thing. And people like, this is what I was trying to explain to people, some of these people that I met. And I was like, I'm not annoyed at you guys or angry at you guys. They're pushing this Jewish idea. Well, I am, but I'm trying to understand your frustrations. And that's what I told them. Look, listen, the reason why the far left supports Palestine against Israel is because Israel is seen as the symbol of capitalism, right? And the Palestinians were at their base Marxist and communist, and that's how Islamization and communism matches with each other. So you have to recognize that they perform taqiyya just like the communist and the Islamists. They both perform taqiyya, right? the, Lying is in their core. This is how they do it. They spread propaganda. So they're spreading this propaganda. Realize why they're spreading this propaganda: because they want communism. So don't take their propaganda like that, right? Now you can advocate for the fact that, you know what, we as British people, we do not want to partake in Middle Eastern fucking problems, right? We want to fix our own country. That you can say, that you can say, like, okay, we'll give safe haven to the Jews if they want to come over here or whatnot, but we are not fighting for you, like, and we don't want Islamists as well, and we're gonna throw them away, right? That is something I can support. That's the same way that I can support that when it comes to Ukraine and Russia. Now, the way that I won't support such things in cases is because it's harmful for our trade not to support our allies, right? So, but that's a trade issue. But a cultural issue within Britain, it's valid to say that we actually don't want to be involved in any wars around the world. We have a lot of problems in house, and we need to fix those problems. But that is a good justification. But not giving that justification and hiding behind conspiracies show that you actually understand that it's a moral wrong not to help such people, help such allies, but you want to come up with like, explanations for your, non-involvement. So it's just dishonest. But, like, it's just frustrations not being conveyed properly, I think so. And there's a lot of bad faith actors that are taking over it. But I don't want to talk about that anyways that much. We spend too much time on that. We want to come back to Finland and focus on Finland. What are the dangers of it? What do you see happening to yourself? Are you going to stay in Finland?
Oh no. I don't think anybody wants to stay in Finland. Like, the most vocal and known celebrities with actual opinions have long ago moved to America or Spain or the UK. Nobody's actually staying here, and I don't think I will either. We'll see. We'll see. I have plans to move to America at some points because I kind of enjoy freedom of speech, which I don't have in this communist hellhole. So it'd be very nice to be in a country where I know that a normal text or a speech won't get me arrested, despite me being a journalist in Finland. It's like, yeah, I think everybody is frustrated in Finland, and one of the biggest issues I have right now is the Ministry of Education is actually sponsoring and paying for Islamic classes for Muslim kids, because in the law everybody is have their right to their religion, and the state has to provide education for that religion, be it Islam or Christianity or whatever. And the thing is, we have so many Muslim kids now that there simply is no educated, like European educated theologians to teach kids Islamic religion. So what they do is the Ministry of Education itself is hiring all of these Al Qaeda, ISIS, Al Shabaab,
Why do they need to be taught this anyways?
Muslim
I don't understand.
Brotherhood activists and imams, Iranian hybrid influencer, Iranian sponsored regime imams. Full of the Finland is like the retirement home of all of these terrorists, and they open these mosques. They get money from Qatar, Bahrain, Iran, and
Mm,
whatever. On top of that, they get money from the Ministry of Education that is in league with these mosques, that they would give Islamic education to kids, and they never ask the parents of these kids. Like, you can be a very secular immigrant raising a kid in Finland, and you put your kid in a public school. All the schools are public. We don't really have private schools in Finland. You put in a school, you can be guaranteed they will look at the kid and be like, okay, he's brown, so he goes to the ISIS mosque. They will send him to the mosque. They tried to do this to me also when I was smaller, when I was in elementary school. I remember in Finland, uh, at that time there weren't really imams or mosques or anything. There were
mm,
like small Kurdish language lessons with
yeah.
maybe some Islamic bullshit taught with it. And they tried to put me in these classes. And I went to a couple of these classes, and I noticed the teacher is a imam. I'm
Mm,
a secular immigrant. I don't want to be taught by
yeah.
an imam. And they never asked my mom. They never told my mom that this teacher would be an
So
Islamic
wrong.
imam.
So wrong. But it's communist behavior.
It is. It is. And this is what they're doing now. Instead, before a couple of years ago, Finland was talking a lot about integration. They used the word integration, and everybody was talking about how to integrate Muslims and stuff like that. But they failed at it completely. They don't even use the word integration anymore. They use a made up word, which is in Finnish, it's kotouttaminen, which means like it's like a semantic word of integration. Instead of integrating, we will make
You
Finland
are,
more
yeah,
homely for them, which means that Finland has to become more
Finland is
Islamic
integrating basically.
so that these people don't
Yeah.
experience all of these racist issues in Finland, and then we have to be a little bit more Islamic. And my issue is that it's very easy to secularize a person. It's very easy to liberalize and very easy to make a scientific person as long as you just don't push the Islamic bullshit inside his head, inside her head or she's head. And what they're doing is the complete opposite of integration. They're actually sponsoring, paying money, and doing everything they can so the already small secular Muslim population, already
Yeah.
very marginalized,
Becoming radicalized.
would be radicalized. And they're
Yeah.
doing everything they can in their power. And
Mm.
now they're thinking that, and now they're wondering, why do we have so many Muslim youth in street gangs? Well, you put them in a gang ISIS mosque. You put them in an ISIS gang mosque to learn about how to be a gang and to use the infidel. You put them there, you sponsor them, you pay money for that, and after that, they go into the Finnish people go into the media and think about, oh, how did all these Muslim youth gangs happen? Where are they coming from?
So this is
Hey,
the problem that I have, right? Like, do they not understand
no,
Islam,
no,
or
they do not. They actually believe the imam. We had an Al Shabaab ISIS linked imam from the city of Vanta, which is like 10 kilometers from me, on the state media. Obvious ISIS imam. I have pictures of him doing the takbir with like
Mm.
fucking ISIS flags on the state media, telling Finnish people that, oh, we moms are doing everything we can against Muslim street gangs and violence, and this is because they are not taught proper Islam. You should sponsor us more and send them more to our mosques so that we can make them good Muslims. A Muslim would never do drugs. A Muslim would never rape. A Muslim would never be in a gang. Islam is a religion of peace. Sponsor us
Mm.
more. Give us more kids.
So what, the only reason that I can think that they think like that about Islam is because of the European Muslims from the other
Yes,
areas. What are they
fucking
called?
bullshit.
Who are those people? I forgot. The Eastern European Muslims. Like,
Tatars?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh yeah, we have a like Finland has a long history of like with Muslim Tatars, but
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
these
and,
are
and
completely different
yeah,
people from the Muslims that we're actually talking about.
yeah,
We have a different. We have
yeah,
old Muslims,
yeah,
which are these very Finlandized Tatars. If you see a
yeah,
guy in the street, you wouldn't recognize that he's not a
yeah,
Finnish person. And they've been living in Finland for 150 years. They originally came from Russia. They fought wars,
hmm,
defended Finland. They are honorary Finnish Muslims, and
yeah,
which I respect also. Tatars have never ever caused any problems in
yeah,
Finland because their Islam is not like the Sunnis and the Shias and the
yeah.
Salafis and the Wahhabis. It's not like that. They have their distinct
And
Finnish Tatar Islam.
this is important to note because this is what happens. Why I don't even like moderate Muslims as well, because it's not the moderate Muslims themselves, is what they enable to happen, right? So they enable first a conducive environment for other Muslims to come in and be able to be radicalized. If they want to be radicalized, all they have to do is learn the Quran, and which is why I say, even if you are a moderate parent, there's no guarantee that your kids would be moderates, because all they have to do is read the Quran and the Hadiths, and you will be an Islamist, because
Yeah,
that's a
and
Islamist
that's
or a
what they have.
jihadist.
That is the
No.
biggest. That
Yeah,
is the biggest ideological weapon Islamists have. Is
yeah,
the actual fact that everything they say and believe is from the Quran.
yeah,
That
and
is the
it's
most.
true. They're proper followers of Islam, Islamist and jihadis, right? And the other factor also is the long-standing people who have been living in in Europe, the Muslims that have been living in Europe, like those Tatar people, and the other Chechenians, and like other Muslims as well that have been living over here for a while, or even in the UK, that the Muslims that came a long time ago from even places like Pakistan and stuff, but they were the educated moderate class. The interactions with them showed these Westerners, oh, Islam is a religion of peace and stuff, because they thought that Islam was what the moderates are practicing, which is not Islam at all. The moderates are moderate not because of Islam, but despite of Islam, they have to consciously deny God's edicts within the religion to become better human beings, and that should show people the reality of Islam. And some people who try to equate Islam with Christianity also need to get their head checked, because
It's
in
not like the
Christianity,
others. It's not like the
no,
others.
because in Christianity, if you actually follow the edicts of Jesus, you will become a better person. And I know, like, some people say, oh, there's slavery in Christianity, blah blah stuff like that. No, actually, the case against the slavery comes from Christianity as well. Like, there's a lot of cases that came from, like, the whole movement.
The Old and the New
Yeah,
Testament.
it was in the Old Testament, but according to the New Testament and the evangelist and all the people who were there who moved against slavery based on their Christian things, they're the ones who did the right things, right? And they're the ones who made the world a better place in that sense. So there is a huge difference between that. Um, but people need to realize these things, that this is the metrics at which Islam plays at.
I
It's
have
just a bad coding problem.
I have a quote, if you remember, about Christianity and Islam, that the problem with Christianity is that not a lot of Christians actually follow the teachings of Jesus.
Mm,
And the problem with Islam is that a lot of Muslims actually follow the teachings of
yeah,
Muhammad. And that's the distinction.
yeah. And people need to get over this hangover as well, because there's another hangover, right? There's this guilt hangover, that because we are Christian nations in the West and we committed slavery, that means we have the original sin, not
That is
realizing.
just putting a white person on a pedestal again.
Yeah,
I
exactly, again.
like those ideas.
Yeah, so it's also the fact that it's false, because Christianity is the one that came in defense against the slavery, and told, like, they had a whole campaign and stuff, and they went against the British government and stuff, and said, on the basis of Christianity, this has to end, slavery is wrong, and then Britain did what they did. But also they're forgetting that the slavery done outside the Christian world was a lot more brutal as well, especially in the Islamic world, especially in the Arab world. The slavery has only ended in 1960s and 70s only. 1960s and 70s, there still was
I think
going on. It still goes on today. They found another way of doing it, how the Arabs do it. They hold your passports and they make you work for it. They give you akama or whatever it's called. That idea is not dead. And the way that the Arabs did slavery was, they got these Eastern Africans, and they castrated the men, and they made women into sex slaves and whatnot. People forget that, right? So, and if that is your basis, that the Christian world did slavery, that's why the Christianity is wrong, on that basis, then Islam is far, far worse.
it's way worse. It's like whenever I try to talk about Islam, and I think this again stems from the Eurocentric and putting the white people on the pedestal type of thing.
Yeah,
Because whenever I talk about the crimes that are being done now in the name of Islam, thousand times more crimes than Christianity has ever done in the name of Islam. Nowadays, in front of your eyes,
mm,
a leftist will come and say, "Oh, what about the Crusades? I don't care about your Crusades that
yeah,
happened 1,000 years ago,
yeah.
you stupid white
A-
person."
and why did the Crusades happen? Why did the
And
Crusades happen?
from murdering Muslims.
Exactly.
They do not understand this. I'm not a Christian. I'm a militant atheist. But hey, come
Yeah.
on. I know the European history. They don't. But the thing is, when they do this, like for example, when I talk about Muslim men committing 1,000% more crimes
Mm.
and rapes than Finnish person, a Finnish leftist feminist will come and say, "Oh, but Finnish men rape too. I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't care about you, your white ass, and your white people
Yeah.
who do 1,000 times less crimes. Can we focus for once on the issues that we immigrants are experiencing? Can we please talk about this
Mm.
without you putting your whiteness in front of everything and acting like this issue is your
Yeah.
issue and you should be championing it instead of us
Yeah.
minority.
Uh,
Shut the fuck up already."
what the other weird thing as well is that like they equate like, oh, white, like in UK this happens as well, right? Oh, the white people rape more than the non-white people. First of all, the population of white people is more, so
Oh,
understand
and
about
just look at the total
proportionality
number. Right?
and ratios, that will happen more anyways, right? But also think about the intentions and stuff. So especially when we talk about the Muslim rape gangs in UK, right? So a white person raping and stuff like that, it's not as if, like, if I was a white person and my friend was a white person and my friend was raping a 12-year-old girl or something, or find out or something, it's unlikely that I will join that person. If I was his brother, it's unlikely I would join his, far unlikely. What was happening with these Muslim gangs was that
Oh, it's
there was
normalized.
there was a guy raping, and the same, his uncle was raping the same girl, his father was raping, his brother was raping, his cousin was raping the same girl. They were running a ring. This is a different ideology. This is a conquest ideology. This is not, this is a sickness of the mind, but not like a white person doing it is actually mentally sick, and other people will be revolted against him and would do everything that they can to stop that person in most circumstances,
Again,
right? But
again,
that is a family affair. They're doing it as a
they,
religious conquest.
they will take that singular mentally ill psychopathic
Yeah.
white person more seriously. They will make that a big issue
Yeah.
than organized rape gangs with an ideology that teaches them to do it.
Where the family is doing it.
Whole family.
And not just the family. So now you have that family doing it, then you have local councillors who are within that community who are hiding the evidence, then you have the police from the same community who are hiding the evidence, then you have the solicitors. Now this is what I want people to understand. These people become solicitors for a reason, right? Especially Pakistanis don't become solicitors. A lot of them don't, especially for Punjab. They don't become solicitors because they like the law. They become solicitors because they want to manipulate the law to hide their people. This
Yeah.
is a basic point of it. They don't just hide these people, they get the illegal immigrants in, and this is all
Oh,
part of the this ideology, you
we
know.
had this Iranian hybrid influencer, and the one thing he influenced was the child protection services in Finland. And what he had done is convince the head of the child protection services that Islam is wonderful, and you, having doubts about how we raise our kids, is racist,
Hmm.
which means that child protection shouldn't be looking at Muslim families
Wow,
when
wonderful.
we force hijabs, don't give them food for Ramadan, beat them up, scare them with hell. And he had convinced the head of the child protection services that this is not that Muslim families have no issues raising children and we shouldn't look so much into it, effectively denying child protection from brown skinned children, and she kept calling it their right to their own culture. I'm just being anti racist. She effectively denied everybody else than white people the services of child protection. She effectively took away the human rights of those children because they are brown skinned, and called herself multicultural anti-racist.
This is what Nuria was raising as well, about these things, right?
Yes, and this is systematic.
Within
They
domestic
do this
abuse.
everywhere. They do this
Yeah,
everywhere. They know the people they have to influence. They
yeah,
know they have to get the prosecutor. They know
yeah,
they have to get a big party. They
yeah,
know they have to get a child protection services, the police.
yeah,
They have all of these officials. They have systematic
yeah.
plans.
Yeah,
But
and if people don't agree with me or anything like that when I'm saying about the Pakistani solicitors, look at all the Pakistani solicitors by profession who are within the or wanting to get into political sphere or are already in political sphere, like Sadiq Khan and stuff like that, and see who they have defended in the past.
oh yes, Sadiq Khan does it. When he was younger, didn't he have like a lot of radical ties to terrorist groups and whatever?
Yeah. So, and all of the ones right now who are trying to get into politics as well, all these past solicitors who are directors of their own solicitor firm and stuff, why are they defending the Islamists and stuff like that? Right? So, that's why you have to understand why they have become those things, anyways. And maybe if they even didn't become for that reason, express reason of supporting Islamism, they are liable to help them now, right? This is a problem. This is a problem like no other that the West has ever seen, because they have invited the enemies so far within themselves, given them rights. This is why I say liberalism is unable to solve this problem, because liberalism cannot move against the liberty of others in their mentality, unless it's a liberty of those that they disagree with, right? But they cannot do that. So now people do have a problem with me like bashing liberalism so much. What I say, like, liberalism can work in your personal life, in your personal thoughts and stuff like that, but liberalism has to be kept away from the governance.
Oh, I always
Liberalism has to be kept away completely from the governance of a country,
I
because you
always
cannot be liberal over there.
you can't be liberal towards illiberal people.
Yeah,
It's impossible. You cannot
yeah,
judge them by the same liberal
yeah.
principle of how you would judge any other liberal
Yeah,
person.
but I think so. From governance, you cannot have that in governance, because the problem in governance is, if you want to direct a nation properly, right, you have to take actions that are going to be very illiberal, but is going to be good for your country. You have to have those trade-offs and stuff like that. You cannot have a one ideology when you're trying to govern a country to the best of to benefit that country the best, right? That's why when liberalism comes into the governance, this is why we see it, because then you're gonna let these people in and stuff like that. If you don't have liberal ideas within the governance, anyone who's trying to come in illegally, you'll be saying, no, fuck off, you know. And
Yeah,
if you don't agree with it, I'm gonna shoot your boat in the water. Fuck off, like, this is my country, I'm going to defend it, and you're coming here illegally, right? But because it's liberal ideas that are seeped into the governance, you're like, oh, but is there, how can I take someone's life or can stop them? They might be poor, they might not be poor. Like, okay, you've already fallen, because they don't think like that. They who are coming over, they don't think like that. They see, free money, free women, like, and free accommodation, let's go, right? That's why all the men are coming over here. And now, coming back to the Finnish problem, because I think so, is the most important problem in the whole Islamist fair right now. The Finnish problem is very important because of people leaving Finland, right?
yeah.
When people start leaving Finland, then there's a space over there, and some people might say, "Oh, let them do it. Like, for how long? Once there's no one to pay taxes, then they will dry up." No, 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 no. There's countries that will sponsor them being over there. The Qatar will sponsor them. Iran will sponsor them. Bahrain will sponsor them for being over there, right? So don't think that the money is going to dry out over there just because Finnish people are going to go. They're going to establish an Islamic country over there, and that is going to be hell, because that's going to be an Islamic country, another one within NATO, within EU. How do you remove them then?
Going to be an ISIS inside NATO. So
Exactly. Exactly. How? What do you do then? How do
Well,
you remove them then?
already all of the former ISIS fighters, all of the Free Syrian Army fighters, the jihadis from Syria, Al Qaeda fighters, Al Nusra fighters, all of them are recruited by Turkish President Erdogan in
Yeah.
TFSI group, which is now effectively the external private army of the private jihadi army of Erdogan, which has millions of fighters in it, all ex ISIS, ex Al Qaeda, and whatever, and they're all being paid by NATO right now. So the jihadi army, which terrorizes the whole Syria and Iraq, is now effectively being controlled by NATO. It is their army now. It is the Turkish army now. So it's already being integrated.
Yeah.
It's already like becoming a part of the West. I
Yeah.
think.
And the liberal mind would not be able to get rid of it, because they will be like, oh, should we get rid of them from NATO just because they're Muslims now? That's not
Oh no,
that
no.
liberal,
What
is
they
it?
do
We
is they
can't do that, can we?
they use jihadis instead of using own
Yeah.
soldiers. It's
Yeah.
always been like that. It's whenever you look at any country that has gone against the West
Hmm.
orders or the dictations of the West and tried to protect his own interests, suddenly becomes the hotbed of jihadism.
Yeah.
And suddenly the jihadis all over the world come there to fight you. And
Yeah.
this is what we've seen over and over and
Yeah.
again. And so one of the open dirty secrets of NATO, I think. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
am very pro
So,
NATO
yeah.
in the sense of its principles that
Hmm.
protect each other.
Yeah.
Russia is a threat. We all
Yeah.
know this. Putin is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I know Finland. I've seen what
Hmm.
Russia can do.
Yeah.
And on that sense, I am pro NATO. But
Yeah.
the other
There's
sense,
enough infiltration within NATO of the
yes,
communist elements
because
there.
I am pro NATO, I do not want to see it
Hmm.
get infiltrated.
Yeah, I'm already uncomfortable.
Again,
I was already have been uncomfortable with even Turkey being in NATO, because I think so.
yes,
It's a stupid ass idea.
yes, but this is a more modern issue because before it was very beneficial for the West to have Turkey in the NATO, and Turkey joined in '53. Like
Yeah,
it's
but that's short-term thinking, right? Because you have a secular Turkey for a little while, and you forget what Turkey has been for hundreds of years. The
exactly
country that took away one of the biggest capitals of Europe,
exactly.
Constantinople. How can that be your friend? That is your enemy. You should actually be working day and night to defeat Turkey and reclaim Constantinople.
What happened was Western countries very naively thought that all of these countries, we're going to help them become Western. We're going to give them democracy. We're going to sponsor them. We're going to help them become Western, and we're going to develop them. And when they did that, they started to slowly notice that these leaders are not very pro-West. They remember the history. They know what your agenda is actually, and they start orienting anti-West. New idea, Arab Spring.
Mm,
They've gotten too powerful. They've gotten too smart to our antics. What will we do? We will unleash jihadis to fuck up everything so that they will stay subjugated. And this is the plan. But this plan will also backfire because
mm,
all of them will come here now.
yeah,
And it's like you spreading. It's like China spreading viruses into the Western world, but getting it themselves, right?
yeah,
Th- This is
yeah.
what it is.
And I think so. I'll differentiate this in just a little way, that this is the tactics of America rather than the wider West, and this is why they're failing, because these are stupid ass strategies.
They don't understand Islam.
Because
Oh,
the British have been dealing with this for a very long time. The Europeans as well have been dealing with how to have empires, and how to have influences of other countries for a very long time, to the benefit of their own country. That's how Britain had empire.
yes.
America, the problem with America is that America didn't have a singular voice within their empire, so called. They had private interests, and they let those private interests dictate their strategies. which is why they turn out to be all of them, all of the strategies within Iraq, within Iran, within Afghanistan, within Pakistan, all of them have turned out to be stupid ass strategies that have now costing Europe heavily. And still, Europe is not waking up to this idea why it is a bad idea to be in line with America in this way. Because America is too big for its own governance, anyways. And America has so many private interests. In the old times in Europe, there would be a king doing these things, right? It's a completely different strategy. The king would not, like, have like ammunition company coming in and telling him what to do. The king would like, go fuck yourself, like, give me your money or I'll kill you, right? It's a different way of strategizing it. I think so, like this being led by America, the whole of NATO, and the whole of Europe, on the whole of West, has actually been not been beneficial at all. We I don't think so. Britain should have stepped in with them in Iraq or
Term
Syria or
profit.
Libya. Yeah, short term profits. That's all they. Yeah, and long. The thing is, they fuck these up and they fuck off to their country, which is the miles away, right?
Yeah.
And they put up barriers of miles, miles, miles. Now they're getting a problem from Mexico. Now they're squirming, right? Well, you fucked us over in Europe because you fucked these countries and then you ran away. We are the closest to them, and they come to us. This is what I get pissed off at America about.
Basically not differentiate EU from the USA. In their eyes,
Yeah.
you're an infidel that has
All
caused them
white.
harm. You
You're
will
all
die.
white. You
You're
know.
all white. You will have to die.
Yeah.
That's it. And they want differentiate. And this is one of my criticism also, like of the left winning in Finland. Like they have this thinking that if I help the crocodiles long enough,
Yeah.
maybe they won't eat me.
Yeah, it's petting
Are
the
you
crocodile.
stupid?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
stupid? They will
yeah,
eat you.
yeah, yeah. They might eat you later, but they'll still eat you.
It
Like,
might
right?
save you because you're a
Yeah,
good lure to get more people to eat. But when the other ones are all eaten, you're gonna get eaten too. It's not like
yeah,
they're not gonna keep you around as a pet.
yeah. And this is why I'm allergic to globalist ideologies on the left and on the right as well. And this is why I'm like trying to put this idea within Britain as well of British cultural movement, because I want each nation to regroup itself, right? Have alliances. Alliances are different, but stop being led by others for other people's benefits, especially American benefits and stuff. Use this time to actually negotiate and do something concrete against Russia, or have a peace treaty with them, because we can't keep on fighting Ukraine. Like, Ukraine can't keep on fighting Russia. They're not going to win this war.
I don't think modern wars are to win a war. It's to
Yeah,
keep it going.
exactly. So that needs to stop because their people are dying and stuff. We need a peace treaty of a concrete sort, not the old sorts. And then I think so all of these globalist organizations need to start disbanding, because what, I don't know what you think, but the Finnish area, with the Finland becoming Islamist, can only be stopped from spreading to the other countries if the countries start leaving EU. Because they will be like, okay, no, we have different travel things now, and then we can put bans and stuff like that. We're gonna concentrate on create on making our own armies and stuff like that. That's the only way that they can actually go forward, because if you stay within the trap of EU, then not just Finland, but or not just Finland, Norway, and Sweden, but every single EU country will start getting fucked over. And that's the same problem with NATO as well. We stay with NATO, and we have just imagine 4 more years of Biden, right? We will be in World War III, right?
There
So there will be the
will
time.
definitely not be for more
I know,
years. I,
I know, but you never know, right? You never know what fuckery happens, what happens, or what not. And if that happens, or we don't even know like what the other side's idea is, but we get dragged into it. I don't like this idea of NATO as well in that sense. It's like, well, we are helping secure the security of smaller countries. What if they fuck up and stuff? Then we're all into World War III. you know. So and what if like America does want a war, from both their sides, because their military complex, is huge. Military and pharmaceutical is huge. They will, push them for war and stuff like that. I think so. It's like we should have alliances and stuff, but they should not be that, like, you know concrete, that you can't even take your own decisions. EU, especially EU, like, that's a problem anyways. I don't know, what do you think, like, do you think there's any other solution to the Finnish problem, apart, like, in the future? I don't want to be right in the future. I don't want to be 2 3 years down the line. I don't want to say, see, I told you, now I have to become Muslim again.
There is a considerable population and groups of Finnomaniacs, like these nationalists, liberals, but
Hmm.
they have this Finnish identity and nationalism, and the history of resilience and defending yourself and living in
Hmm.
harsh conditions and
Yeah,
and striving from
true Finnish people,
poverty
like,
to
yeah.
there are these people. They are
Hmm.
not dead yet, but they are the older generation. Not a
Hmm.
lot of younger people have this Finnish identity anymore. And I
Hmm.
think it has to be brought back. The,
Hmm.
the nationalistic Finnish identity of being a proud Finn that has
Hmm.
risen from the swamp to be one of the most technologically
Hmm.
advanced countries. We have to bring this thought back,
Hmm.
because what has been going around in Finland for the last decade is the same Americanized woke white guilt bullshit that has captivated all of the medias like a freaking Marxist cultural
Hmm.
revolution. It's horrible. It destroys your identity. It
Hmm.
destroys your pride. It destroys any motives to keep the things you already have and achieve. So it's
Hmm.
very easy to just give this all away to Muslims as some kind of a compensation act, as if Finnish people have ever enslaved,
Hmm.
killed, genocided anyone.
No, they have been themselves. They have been themselves.
Yes, and which is absolutely bonkers. And we come to this racism of lower standards again, because they want to be feel superior and
Yeah.
whites like the rest of the Western world, because the
Hmm.
last 100 years Finnish people have tried to tell the Western world, we are part of you, we are
Yeah.
not some Eastern Mongol
Hmm.
nation, we are Western, we want to
Hmm.
be like you. And they want to be like them. They want to be woke ass idiots like the
Hmm.
rest of the Western world, instead of embracing the
Their own.
national identity they have, that
Hmm.
has protected them, that has
Yeah.
prospered them, that has made the country what it is, with equal rights and women's rights and
Hmm.
children's rights and free education for everyone.
Hmm.
These this is where it has come from. All
Yeah.
of this goodness in society, all of this welfare, all of this free education and technology and everything. You think
Hmm.
this came from woke idiotism? This came from Islam? This came
Hmm.
from Russia? This came
Hmm.
from America? No! This came from the Finnish people themselves, that do not appreciate it a bit anymore.
Hmm.
And that is the most dangerous thing, that they've given up. They've
Yeah.
given up. They have no side of the future of the Finnish nation. Only
Hmm.
thing they can think about is, we white people are so bad. We consume a
Yeah.
lot of nature. We are so racist. It is good for the planet that we don't make kids. We don't spread our ideas. We let all of these Muslims come, do the kids, take over as a compensation act, and we'll perhaps go to heaven or something like that. It's a cultural revolution, and I think everybody in
Hmm.
Europe and the Western world is feeling the same
Yeah.
pressure of idiotism,
Yeah.
just building up.
I think so. The thing why I think so. Every nation to its own needs to do it within the West as well. So I don't think so. There needs to be a Western cultural movement. It has to
Right.
be British cultural movement, Finnish
Yes.
cultural movement, Swedish, because every country, and this will happen or have more sense, which is why people need to leave EU, because they need to, and this is why as well NATO as well, that I feel like people, it comes to a point where maybe perhaps people have to leave NATO, because once you start thinking there's nobody else coming to save you, you have to save yourself, then you have to get your act together. Every person in that nation has to get their act together, and also need to recognize the individual history of each Western country, which is immensely rich, which is, it is filled with wonder and mystery and ingenuity, and like long standing heritage, traditions and values and cultures, right? Each single country has more within one, like even Finland has more than any other, most other Asian countries apart from China, Japan and those countries, right? the, Apart from the successful countries, like they have more richness in them, cultural and values and traditions, than any other country. They have to recognize this. Stop soiling the name of your ancestors just because you're feeling guilty about the color of your skin or something like that. Fuck that. Most of what we have in this world, the good things that we have in this world, has come from the West, and the West is the majority of that race of people, right? So stop denigrating yourself to that point. Recognize that, your ancestors did something good, and stop, like, ruining their name in that sense as well. And that
And
doesn't mean that you start believing in your supremacy or something and excluding other people. It just means that you stop denigrating yourself. Stop, like, look at British history.
and
Like,
it's only the Muslims who are asking this from them. Nobody else is
exactly.
asking you to denigrate.
No, exactly. And even look at, like, the British history, right? I find it so weird that there are British people who are like ashamed to be British. It's like, dude, you are a small island that conquered the world. The sun never set in the British Empire. That's how bloody big it was. The biggest empire that has ever been, right? And you're ashamed of that? Obviously, there would be things, you're building an empire, right? You're not building a fucking PC world. So there will be things that will happen.
Yeah, look at the countries the British colonized. Look at them today.
Yeah. How
Aren't
much
they
better
the
they
most
are.
richest countries we have in the world?
Yeah. You know, it's sort of like, and even before that, even before colonization, right? It's a country of, like, so much history, so much ingenuity. The first ever constitution, any sort of constitution in Magna Carta, was developed over here. The idea of a constitution or dealing with your king is, there's so many things. And like, the further back you go, I know you are interested in like ancient mythologies and stuff like that as well. It all comes from this sort of area, the West, and the that sphere of the Middle East, like the top, not Middle East, like, but Mediterranean area and those stuff like that, which is sort of like the part of the West anyways, the Greek area and stuff. Man, like, how can you be ashamed of that? There's nothing more amazing than that
It,
has pushed the
I
world forward.
part of this demoralization
Yeah,
propaganda, which the East, Russia and China is pushing constantly,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
and the Islamists are pushing constantly because
Of
the
course.
more demoralized you are,
Yes.
the open you are to foreign threats.
Yeah.
The-
And that's the reason why I want to tell them, like, look at this Pakistani heritage guy who was born in Kuwait, right? Who is admiring your history more than you, who wants to be. I admire Britain so much that I love Britain to the most, right? I want to be British. I am British in that sense, like, British citizen, not British by heritage, but British citizen in that sense. And I would die defending this country, right? So, to that point, there must be something good about your country, right? At least realize that someone who's not from here want to be a part of it and want to
oh,
make.
to them, you should love Qatar and Kuwait, and you should hate the British people, and what and I always say this. It's you should like honestly, objectively, if you want to benefit from
Yeah,
Western people, you
yeah.
want to
Right
be
now,
beneficial right now. Don't integrate.
yeah.
Do not stay
I
as
could be a
you are.
DEI. I could be a DEI director right now. Like,
Yes, yes,
not even lying. I could be on 150,000 pounds a year,
yes,
doing easily, like just because
exactly.
of my morality and my principles that I want to.
There is no point. Why? Why? Like, I put myself in the mind of a Islamist, right? I come
Yeah.
from the Middle East. I come here. I already think that you're all pieces of shits. You're
Hmm.
all infidels. Everything you do is
Yeah.
against Allah's will. I
You're
already think
dirty
you're shit,
people and like everything like that. Yeah.
right? I already think you're shit. And the first white person I see is like, oh yeah, I agree. We are shit.
Yeah. You'll be like,
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't mind
yeah.
me taking over, right?
No, no.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go
So,
ahead, please.
so how can you blame Islamists if
Yeah.
Europeans are like this? How do you blame? Do you blame a lion for eating a gazelle?
Nah.
No. So
No.
why the fuck are you becoming a gazelle to get eaten by the lion?
Especially the gazelle who's shaking their ass in front of the lion, right? Eat me, eat me, eat me.
I can't. My mind doesn't understand these people. Like, because in the Middle East,
Yeah.
we fight to death to preserve the little goodness we
Yeah.
have in the midst of that freaking blackness and darkness of Islam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Die. We
Yeah.
die for the smallest human
Yeah.
right that
Yeah.
these folks are taking for
Yeah.
granted. I don't understand. I just
This
don't.
is the thing. There's, but hope. I hope and I hope, right? Because I love my country so much in Britain. I love Britain so much that I don't want it to go down this step, right? So this is why it has to be a cultural movement. And it has to, and like we were saying before as well,
It's
it has
more
to be
cultural. I think this is
each,
more cultural.
yeah, and it has to be each country to its own as well, because not all countries within even the West are going to go straight towards like Christianity or any other cultural reference as well. Like there's some countries who would be more suited to their Nordic sort of like Viking sort of culture that will invoke more of a cultural movement than Christianity. Britain, I think so. Britain, because it's a Christian country for so long, and it was based on that, it has to go revive its Christian, proper Christian culture back, culture, at least Christian culture back.
British Christian, because it
Yeah,
differs
British,
from
British
other
Christian.
Christianity.
Yeah, no, no, no.
It's kind of different.
Yeah, British Christian, because that is very different than other ones. Like, and then France as well. France have to go back to their particular Christianity, and Spain to their particular Christianity, because
Well, I
come
think
on, man. Like Spain has to do those things, because Spain should know, because Spain was fucking conquered by these dickheads for so long.
I know, and we have a Finnish imam, the one I was talking about, the ISIS imam, telling publicly in Twitter that Spain should be Al Andalus again. We should take
Yeah,
it over. But they uh, I just don't like. I do not understand. Like these people in for example in Finland, I don't think they think about these issues. They're not so forward
no,
thinking people.
I think so. They just they might they just don't want to think about it because it's so depressing,
It is. It is.
right?
But back to my point. If you are being a such a pushover
Hmm.
and you really guilt for something you didn't even do and
Yeah,
ready to give everything away, not only you're gonna get an Islamist trying to kill you and take over, you're gonna get people like you and me making fun of you.
yeah,
Nobody even like if I had to choose today, would I integrate into this society? I would say no.
no,
No,
yeah,
I do not want to. So how the hell are you going to integrate people anymore? How the hell?
yeah,
All of them are going to become Islamists.
yeah.
They're even making sure all of the youth are going to mosques.
But they don't want people to integrate anymore, right? So,
No,
and what will people integrate into when they don't know what they're integrating into, when
the
you
only
are
option
unknowing, or
is come.
the people of the nation, if they are unknowing of themselves, if they don't know themselves, and the people coming into the country, what would they know to integrate into
Yeah,
apart from wokeness, right?
yeah. And this is the issue. Like the lefties have with me. I've integrated wrong. You didn't integrate to be a wokey like us.
No, you integrated to be Finnish, which
Yes,
isn't wokey.
things are bad. You cannot integrate to be a Finnish person. You have to be a global wokey, crazy person like us who believes everything that he's told.
It's
Then
stupid. Like the other problem that I have people with people who are like who support EU, right? Or they're crazy about EU. All they talk about is economy and all that crap. To them, I want to say economy doesn't matter if there is no nation of the or like if there is no people in that
there's no
country of that
cohesion.
country, who the hell cares about
Yeah,
economy? Who
yes.
cares about economy if there's no culture of people? You
The
know,
thing is,
I'd rather have a country be poor but be knowing of itself, man. Like, come on.
they have to destroy the high trust societies, and that's
Yeah,
what.
and it's already destroyed. You know what? Like, there was a story about this Singaporean guy because Singapore was used to be under the British control, right? So this Singaporean prime minister in the 1970s, I forgot his name. He came to London and he saw that there was a newspaper stand when people were just putting money in there because it wasn't manned. The people were putting money in there and they were taking the newspaper. Like everyone was doing that. Nobody was stealing money. People were even giving like more like £10 note or whatever, and they would take the right change and stuff like that. He went away and he implemented this in Singapore. Obviously, over there they have a very strict society, which is like very less freedom over there. But the thing is, we have over here in Britain have gone far away from it, and not just Britain, all over Europe. Because there used to be so many things over here like that, like in little villages and stuff. You would have like open libraries, just put the money in and take those. I still have that in the areas where I live, because we don't have many foreigners living over here, which is why I live over here. Because I want to live among the English people mostly. We have little areas where that happens. But this high trust has completely gone, and this is why the police is having problem dealing with the Islamists, because policing in Britain was done by consent. And we have these people coming in who don't understand the meaning of consent. So we don't know how to deal with them, you know? And this is why I'm saying, like, this is why a revival
We
is
should
so important.
import some American police.
But this is the thing as well, like, how much harsher do you, why should we have to ruin our high trust culture
You
to
have to.
accommodate?
It's what Islam does to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like that's what they have done to us, that
Hmm.
we have to become animals
Yeah.
to actually defeat these animals.
You've read the ISIS manifesto at some degree, right?
Yeah.
They specifically in the ISIS manifesto claim and tell that the West will drown in the blackness of Islam. And this
Blackness.
is what they do. They drown you. They cause so much problems,
Yeah.
so much issues that and they destroy your standards,
Yeah.
that they made you an animal also. So
Hmm.
all of you are confused in the blackness of Islam and its black flag.
Yeah.
This is what ISIS is telling in their
Yeah.
manifesto, proclaiming what they will do, and that is exactly what they're doing now.
Yeah. Which is why I think so people need to wake the hell up, and stop depending on, like, or to stop depending on the depiction of Islam on the basis of the moderates. I don't even care about the
Or
moderates. If the
state
moderates,
propaganda or
if
whatever.
if the if
Just
the
study
if,
yourself.
yeah, but if these moderates Muslims have any integrity, of they were actually principled people,
You know,
they would leave Islam. Okay, they would leave Islam. If they weren't so fucking cowards, they would actually leave Islam, because you cannot be a good person of mental thought, you cannot be a good decent person and still believe or still associate yourself with this ideology. You can't be. In my book, you are not, and I'm saying as someone whose family is moderate Muslim. Okay,
they,
because I constantly say that.
they have cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Dissonance. This associative disorder, I think, because a moderate Muslim looks at him or herself and is like, "Oh, I would never behead. I would
Yeah.
never rape. I would never steal." And I'm a Muslim, and
Yeah.
and my attributes probably come from Islam. This is what
Hmm.
they think, right?
Yeah.
although all of their attributes come from the lack of Islam.
Yeah, exactly.
And when they see a person that is lacking all of these attributes because he believes in Islam, they'll say, "Oh, that's not Islam.
Yeah,
My
definitely.
Islam is Islam. My lack of Islam is
Yeah,
Islam."
yeah,
And it's cognitive dissonance. And
yeah,
they have to do this because otherwise they would be in their own brains associated with that terrorist and would leave Islam. Like you said, they
yeah.
should. Because
This
why
is
the
the
fuck
only
would you want
reason.
to be associated?
This is the only reason why I left Islam. Not
Yes,
because I was pressured or anything, because
you
I
don't
could
want to
not.
associate with
I couldn't.
craziness.
No,
Yeah,
I couldn't associate with evil and then
yes,
think of myself as a good person. At the
yeah.
same time, it's like,
It's
no,
so
there are
evil.
some things that are more important. Your morality and your principles are far more important than any sort of monetary gains that you can have in this life. Because I don't care about these materialistic things. People need to realize these ideas properly. And I think so. This is reason why I think so. Islam has no place in the West.
No, it has
You
no
cannot have a
place in the
single mosque in the West.
world. In the world.
Yeah, but
Forget
at least
about
in
the
the
West,
West,
the
at least
world.
in the West, it's sort of like you want to be a Muslim, you be a Muslim in your house.
Yeah, like
That's
all the Christians
that's
are.
the only liberal idea that we're gonna, the liberal way that we're gonna deal with you. All the mosques are
Just
to be
like,
shut down and everything, because the thing is, like, yes, they're going to be churches because it's a Christian country. Is and there's going to be actually Indian temples as well, and there's going to be the synagogues as well, because none of those religions want to kill us.
yeah,
So we have a deal.
these other religions are actually multicultural.
Yeah,
They can come along with other religions and cultures. It's not
and
a
respect the nation's laws and values.
The craziest thing the Europe does is call the antithesis of multiculturalism, which is
Hmm.
Islam, and
Yeah,
take it and call it multiculturalism.
no, it's anything but.
It's the antithesis
Yeah,
of multiculturalism. Wherever there is Islam is nothing else than Islam.
yeah,
There is
it
no
has to be.
subcultures, genres, other
No,
people, immigrants,
people need to even
minority.
people even need to see how much the dogmatic Muslims actually attack their own Muslims
Yeah,
who deviate from the
yeah,
prescribed
they
sects and
don't
stuff
see
like
it.
that,
They
right?
don't see it.
So there's no multiculturalism even within Islam.
And the
Okay,
thing is, like,
they kill the cultures of the host countries that they go to as well. That's how much there's not multiculturalism in
culture
Islam.
will replace,
Yeah.
kill any culture with the blackness of their
Yeah.
flag. It's not like they're hiding it. These people are proclaiming
No, they're
uh,
saying it. They're saying it clearly.
it out loud.
Yeah, it's
They're
like,
playing with
like
black flags.
there was a story, or like something, movie or cartoon or whatever like that, like where there was a planet destroyer and would go and suck the energy out of that planet and then move on to the next. This is what Islam is. You know, it destroys and sucks all the energy, replaces it with itself, and then goes to, like or the Borg in Star Trek, like, registers is
They
futile.
won't stop.
That's
They
what they
won't
do.
stop. Like,
Yeah, they
you have
won't stop
to
because
make
they
it
can't stop.
stop. They don't understand anything else than force. You
Hmm.
cannot negotiate with terrorists. It is
No,
impossible. You cannot convince an Islamist that Allah doesn't exist. In his head, Allah exists.
no,
Allah demands these things of him, and he has to do them. There is
no,
no other way to just
yeah,
push them back. You have to push them back. You have to be against them in every way, in physical,
yeah,
vocal, cultural, scientific.
yeah.
You have to utilize everything you have to get rid of this virus because it will eat you. It
And
is already eating you.
even with the moderates, what I would like to say is, like, the moderates are fearful of the actual Muslims all the time. They do things in
Yep,
hiding and away from them and stuff.
yes.
So
They
when
know
you
the
start,
truth and what would
yeah,
happen to them.
so when you start celebrating Islam in the West, get even more fearful,
Yes.
and stuff like that. Now the onus is upon the moderates to leave Islam, but on the other hand, you have to see why they're scared of Islam, because Islam has nothing but fear. Its theology is the theology of fear. It scares people into obedience. It doesn't, or it either gives them incentives, or give them incentives, monetary or materialistic incentives and stuff like that. Even in heaven it's materialistic, because you're going to get this and that and that. It's not like a Christian heaven where you're gonna have salvation or something like, or oneness
Oh,
of your soul
the
or something like that.
Islamic heaven is very materialistic and
Yeah,
secular. If you think
yeah,
about it, it's
yeah,
like uh, they don't really have the higher thought of being like this ethereal
yeah.
soul that
No,
will be in some other plane of existence
yeah,
and connected with the higher consciousness and learn everything
yeah,
and get peace. And they have no concept like this. Their heaven is to get to do stuff that was prohibited from them while they were alive. That is their
yeah,
heaven.
yeah,
They have no concept
yeah,
or tools or even brains to
yeah,
think about anything else, and which is concerning because as an atheist, even as an atheist, as a militant atheist from a very young age, I am able to understand concepts of afterlife that do not
yeah,
involve earthly materialistic
yeah.
pleasures.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, I think so. It's just I think so. People. I don't want people to be against something more than they're pro something, right? So I just want people to be pro something, and pro something would be like be pro yourself, and that's why each country has to be
Be
like
pro
culturally.
ex-Muslim, support
Yeah,
ex-Muslims.
be pro ex-Muslim, but be pro your own country more than anything else, because that way
Be
you're
pro
going
of
to,
people that like your country, that
yeah,
like you. That
and be pro your own country.
yes,
Because when you're pro your own culture, values, and traditions,
to gain respect. To gain,
but you're automatically going to reject these ideas like Islam and stuff, because you're pro yourself and they don't match with you, and
and
they,
you're gonna get the respect of all the people who see how strong
yeah,
and respectable and confident you are.
exactly.
Nobody is going to respect a nation that has just given up, and
Nobody respects
not just
anyone
to
who bends
anyone,
over,
not given up just to anyone, but to the most reprehensible bullshit on the
most
world.
backward, most low IQ'd fucking barbarians.
And you give up to these
Yeah,
people? It's
yeah,
it's unbelievable. It's
yeah.
unbelievable. But yeah,
But yeah, I mean, so to end our conversation, I would just like people to
I can see the
understand.
frustration in your eyes, just
I
like
know,
in
because
mine.
every time I talk about this, it's like the conversation that I had with Tommy Robinson as well. I mean, I was swearing so much because I was frustrated. Because
We
once
all are. We all are very frustrated.
and sometimes like you're not frustrated enough with people who don't know the what the problems are happening,
Yes,
right? So you're more calmer, so you would see me in other spaces where I'm more calmer and I'm explaining this. But when I'm with ex-Muslims, or when I'm with Tommy Robinson as well, it felt like I was meeting an old friend, because
yes,
he
because we
knew so
understand
much.
what we're talking about. Like when we talk about issues, we understand the severity of it. We understand
Exactly.
the context and the feelings behind it instead of, and that's why we get so
Emotional
goddamn
about,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's so obvious, right? And it's frustrating having to assert realities again and again. I'd rather be doing way better things. Look, these are only little bit of the books that I have. A lot of them I still haven't read, because I have to deal with this bullshit,
Yes.
all the time. And I have like, I don't have spaces for books everywhere, because that's all I want to do. I just want to read about history and mythology, and
Yep.
write books about that and stuff.
We have
I
to
don't
deal with
want to
this.
have to reassert realities like Islam is your enemy, man is a man, woman is a woman, this stuff
Beheading
like
is
that. It's
not
like,
very nice.
yeah, it's and like the Western civilization is the best civilization ever in the history of
Throwing
humanity.
off gays off of buildings is not very progressive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially without parachutes,
It was great to talk to you again.
Yeah. So, but but the problem of Finland, people just really need to put the
Please look at
attention
here.
towards it.
Look at here. The craziness is over the top. I'm urging everyone who is listening to this, look at what is going on in Finland. Forget about Sanna Marines and her propaganda
And
issue.
also, like tell people what happened with Sarah Marine. Like
We
what?
already did. We already did. On the other,
But like people should know this, even
oh,
if they haven't
she's
listened to
now
it.
working for the Saudi-funded Tony Blair Institute.
Exactly,
Not in politician anymore.
exactly. So people, that same woman that people thought, oh, she's very hot, so she's fine, and blah 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 stuff like that.
Getting
She's
paid by
working
Saudis
for
right now.
A Saudi-funded Tony Blair Foundation.
Yeah,
This is
works
the
for him.
Western disease that is the problem that is caused. In Britain, it was started by this dickhead Tony Blair as well.
She
So
works
people
there
should
now.
remember this.
So I'm urging, please do not believe in every propaganda you hear about Finland being the best
Mm,
country and this and that, and everybody here is so happy and da da da. These are very wrong
yeah,
propaganda, disinformation. Look at yourself. Look at what goes on in Finland. Come follow me on Anter Yasa X at I'm at X. You can look at my YouTube videos and whatever. Please, I'm urging you, don't believe everything you hear
yeah.
about Finland.
And you know what? Urge your journalists and everyone to talk about this. And if you're in Europe, in EU, urge your MEPs. Like, what is going on in Finland and stuff? Raise them, because you have a security concern. If you're in Germany, if you're in Poland, if you're in like Denmark, whatever country you're in, you
Ask
have a
yourself why
problem.
so many Muslim immigrant men are coming from Finland
And
to.
why they hiding it? Why they hiding these facts?
Ask
Yeah,
yourself. Yeah,
yeah. Well, good talking with you again, and hope we'll have you again. And Finnish government
almost
will not have put you in prison. Uh,
definitely.
but it's sad as well. Like I know a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, but he needs to just get out of Finland," which I've been saying as well. But it's sad because that's your country, right?
This is
That's the
my
only
homeland. I
country.
was brought
Yeah,
up here.
exactly. You were there since you were a kid. Like, why do you have to leave? Like,
Yeah,
you
why
know,
do I have to leave because some Islamist came a couple of years
yeah.
ago?
And they're gonna follow you anywhere, everywhere,
Yeah,
in
they're not
all
gonna
of the
leave
Western
me
countries.
alone. They
Yeah,
want the whole world. You have
yeah.
to stop them somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, I just hope like someone finally gets some international attention over this and starts putting pressure on all the points that you're raising or link up with you. That would be brilliant, I think so.
Yeah,
Anyways, thank you all for listening and
thank you
catch
very
you
much.
next time.
Thank you, Mamas, very much. I'll see everybody.